Guys calling in, and they're always like, down and out about their haircut.
Else like Bosley. Bottom line, I'm begging anybody out there, before you go and get surgery, before you walk into these hair club system places, I'm telling you right now, I am $20,000 in the hole, and 10 years of stress, the last 3, an absolutely horrifying existence of stress and pain. And I can promise you, the stress of this hairpiece is 1,000 times more than I would have ever felt if I had just been confident with who I am, dealt with the fact that these are the cards I've been dealt, and deal with them, and just shave my head. And honestly, like Spencer said, not everyone's there, but that's where I'm at.
Who put this thing together? Me! That's who! Who do I trust? Me!
And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality?
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the broadcast. Phone number is 888-659-3727. Obviously, you guys who are in the UK, since we are doing our special Friday afternoon show here on the west coast of the United States. The UK number is 0203-3724-683, and our toll-free U.S. number, which a lot of guys seem to be able to reach via Skype, is 888-659-3727. Let me bring up Joe. Joe, how you doing, buddy?
Can't complain. Just, I can't complain. Skype is what I'm complaining about, but besides that, nothing. It's all good.
I am thinking, I need a uniform. I need a uniform like yours, because not that I'm doing a tremendous amount of thinking when it comes to which shirt to wear for the broadcast. I always try to wear, actually I think my entire time on the air, I've always wore a collared shirt. I just kind of felt it adds just a little bit more respect to the broadcast than me coming out in a wife beater or a T-shirt.
And we need every bit we can get.
Absolutely.
What?
Absolutely. I wish I was faster on the 360 because I could use a sound effect for that. But I do like the idea that you don't really have to think at all. Like you're pulling like a Mark Zuckerberg.
I prefer a Steve Jobs.
Or Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
So I may either just get the exact blue shirt that you're wearing. That would be that'd be fucked up. And I was going to say something else, but that would be considered politically incorrect. Like, I can't say gay as if it was some sort of a derogatory thing. When it's not derogatory, I don't feel that way. I have no issues with homosexuals. But even as a dude, as a kid growing up, if you say something was gay, like if we wore the same shirt, the same outfit, today that would be construed as being prejudiced or as being politically incorrect. Why can't people just have fun anymore?
Because people need stuff to bitch about. That's why I look at it. Political correctness has gone way too far. I understand how some people can be offended by certain things, but I don't know. It's actually been something that's been on my mind lately. Political correctness in my mind is poisonous on certain levels, but just my camera here.
I mean, why don't all of our listeners and our followers and our viewers and our people who are downloading from iTunes and why don't we have a million bald man march on DC and bald lives matter and stop fucking making fun of bald guys? We can do that, but you know what?
That's the thing.
You know what pussy? You know what a pussy I would look like if I did that? It's bad enough that I've made this my career.
Can you imagine seeing like a camera crew with you and me at the mall in DC with pickets, or not pickets, but signs picketing Bald Lives Matter.
Yeah. But
or some bullshit.
But here's what I find fascinating. I actually think that even in this insane politically correct environment that we know, and I say this all the time, that hair loss is the last bastion of political incorrectness. Not even the media would cover it seriously. I'm telling you, if we had 1 million people on the fucking on the lawn of the Washington Monument, what is it called, the Great Lawn?
The mall.
The mall.
They call it the mall.
Jesus, I'm getting old. We would still be poked fun of. That's how fucking much this is the last bastion of political incorrectness.
Well, it would even be referenced by any reporters covering it. Today in Washington in the mall, there's a bevy of baldies complaining. It's like.
But you know what? Maybe we should do it. Maybe we should see what happens, and then we can discuss it on camera. And again, anytime I'm interviewed, man, it's just one fucking run-on sentence. I do not take a breath so they can't edit anything out. And that's a little secret if anyone out there ever gets interviewed for anything. When I'm doing my broadcast, I am, I take a lot of, we call them pregnant pauses in the industry. Mm-hmm. That is to emphasize thought and also to help you to make a point. And if you're just listening and not watching, it makes more sense. When you're watching, it just looks like this guy doesn't know what to say next. However, when I'm being interviewed, you'll just see it. It's just like I don't even give them a chance to interject with a question.
Yeah.
Ask a question, straight run-on sentence as fast as I can speak.
There's some people who could learn from that in modern day modern politics and what have you. It's every time you're on camera or every time you're being interviewed or what have you, you are putting yourself at risk for creative editing.
Oh my God, 100%. And I watch some of these doctors who sometimes they have PR people. They go online, they're on the news, and I could see shit and the way shit is edited. Now, live broadcasts are good. Alan Bauman was just on a live broadcast locally, I guess in his local South Florida local news. Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, man, that fucking guy kills it. Forget about the fact that there's a crazy laser cap on a invisible head. You know what I'm talking about, the glass head or the fiberglass head or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And all the stuff and all the shampoos and all the things that are kind of put into like the kind of a product placement type of setting, which, listen, you can't blame the guy for doing that. But the way that he comes across and his ability to communicate to the media is really second to none.
Yeah.
There's no one out there in the field, in my view, that really has honed their skills to communicate their message, whatever message that may be, as well as Alan Bauman. And I got to give him his props.
No, absolutely. I mean, he doesn't miss a beat. It's like question asked, question answered without missing a beat. It just, bam, he's on it. There is no pregnant pause.
Yeah.
There's none of that. The man is dialed in every second he's in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And I really, really respect him for that.
Yeah. And I do too. And, here's what I find interesting. A lot of guys in the field who, there have been guys in the past, especially at the beginning of my career, or I would say within the first, 5 or 6 years, who felt that Alan or Dr. Bauman is a young guy. He's younger than me. I think he's about 5 years younger than me. And he's around your age. And, they felt he didn't pay his dues in order to get as much press as he got. You know what he did? He didn't wait like these guys to be contacted or send out lackadaisical, or hire some company just to send out press releases. He fucking killed it himself. He went out there and did whatever he could to get the word out about hair loss and about what he does.
Yeah.
And I'm going on a tangent here, But it's really impressive to me. I don't care what anybody says. People are jealous. There are so many haters in the industry. Obviously, I'm used to a lot of haters. But there's so many haters who are physicians in the industry who hate the fact that this guy gets so much notoriety. Well, there's a fucking reason for it. There's a reason he has an 11,000 square foot facility, and you don't.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
And I just think that if the Board of Governors of the IAHRS and the ABHRS would kind of like open their eyes a little bit, take note, and say, hey, how are we going to get ourselves out there so we can get our message out there to maybe help consumers and to promote our message? They can learn a lot from Alan Bauman. You know, I had to write an email yesterday discussing some of the things that we're going to be doing this year. And this was something that went out to some of the major organizations in the field. What the organizations really don't love hearing is the reality of the IAHRS and the American Hair Loss Association being the most recognized organizations in the real world of surgical hair restoration. So I just kind of went online to kind of see, you know, who picked us up this month in the mainstream media. Well, in the month of May alone, and it's actually very, I mean, I got to laugh because when these guys have asked me what my advertising budget is or what my marketing budget, or if I have, or if I have a public relations person, how much I charge, they charge me, my budget is zero. I have no public relations firm working for the American Hair Loss Association or the IAHRS or this broadcast or anything that I do personally. The press just happens to reference us the most out of anybody. So in the month of May alone, we were referencing Reader's Digest. I'm talking about the main big references. The London Telegraph, the Telegraph, the New York Times. I forgot what else, and a bunch of really incredibly well-trafficked blogs and what would I call them? Online outlets. Let's put it that way. And I looked at the list. I was just like the whole page. And I was like, I don't even know when this happens. You know, I mean, I get Google alerts for certain things, but some things I don't. And I guess my point is this. There's so many people being fucked up in this industry. There's so many guys who are running to Turkey. And again, there are some good doctors in Turkey, but they're running to Turkey and India. And again, some great doctors in India as well, but a very small handful. And they're going to try to get themselves treated inexpensively. And they are not hearing a consistent message from all of the larger groups, the organizations, those in the field who believe that, look, you know, I mean, they took an oath, first do no harm. They should be able to get their message out there as effectively as two fucking guys in their underwear.
Essentially.
You know? I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
But they don't fucking get it. So I had to write this whole thing kind of explaining how things are done. They have to move away from the old school bullshit, the bureaucracy. Your organization has to be run like a business. Mm-hmm. It is not a government. Okay? There should be no voting rights. It's like you set an agenda and you get that agenda accomplished if you want to remain relevant and if you want to save these poor schmucks. And please take that in the spirit that's meant, guys. You guys are vulnerable. We all are as hair loss sufferers. And if they want to save their lives, and in the interim, keep business in their, you know, in their backyards, then these are the things that need to be done.
I'll tell you, I do have a correction for you.
Yeah.
You do have one marketing company. It's called Truth Inc.
Yes. And I think I own that domain, by the way. But that's exactly what it is. Just tell the fucking truth, okay? Tell the truth. You know what these guys are used to doing? Their whole thing now is, and this is the game, and this is what's happening with the IAHRS, and I really feel bad for their membership and for the organization itself, because I think the organization really, obviously it has tremendous legs. It has a lot of opportunity to really affect some change. if everyone worked together and, got a collective message under their belt. Right now they are focusing on things that will not make a hill of beans, will not help consumers. And they're doing it partially out of fear, but I think it's great to work on legislation to make it where it is absolutely illegal for certain things to be done in this arena. That's great. But the truth is, just like with any other crimes, the criminals will circumvent the law. They don't give a fuck. And the state medical boards and the state's attorneys, or the attorney general, whatever, they will only look at the most egregious acts as opposed to the shit that goes on every day in these clinics.
Right.
So
I'll tell you what it'll take. I know what it'll take to actually get some sort of meaningful legislation that does anything. It'll mean it'll take a patient dying because of a technician didn't know what they're doing, the doctor was out taking a nap.
That's already happened.
Again.
Yeah, and that actually happened. Let's see. One happened about 4 years ago. Another one happened 2 years ago. I mean, we're talking about in the United States. One was in here in the state of California. Another one was in Illinois. And
but they have to be famous.
Yeah, they have to. The person has to be famous.
Yeah.
The dead person has to be famous.
The dead person has to be famous.
The dead patient has to be famous. It's a fucking mess. Guys, we're going to take some phone calls. That's why we're doing the live broadcast. So call in. Let me check the phone lines and make sure everything is running properly. They are. That's not the sound we want to hear, by the way. It's 888-659-3727, 888-659-3727. If for some reason we don't get calls this broadcast, then we just call it a day. That's the way that the live impromptu shows work.
Got stuff to do, so we don't have to be here. This is for you guys.
Right. So, but I do think that the stuff that I'm discussing, this is inside baseball stuff that a lot of guys, a lot of consumers don't really understand. Truth in advertising, the way people are marketing, it's becoming worse and more of a mess than ever before. And when you go to your local 76 station or, whatever gas station it is, and you see a advertising kiosk on your gas pump where you can take a card to get 15% off of a NeoGraft hair transplant, there's a fucking problem. There's a tremendous disconnect. And that disconnect is the industry itself is not educating consumers as far as the concept of hair transplants being actual surgery. It's just a commodity. You can get a discount. There are Groupon discounts now for all types of cosmetic surgery, including hair transplant surgery. There is a woman who actually, I think she's working. She's in the UK and she's working on a very good cause. And it is kind of like I'm not going to name it, but it's kind of like a safety in the cosmetic surgery type of a situation. Currently, right now, she is in Greece over at the DHI clinic, supposedly learning about what's been happening and all the pitfalls of the hair transplant industry and what's happening with the European market and all of this hair transplant tourism. Right. Now, all I can tell you is, the reality of, a lot of clinics around the world, and how they conduct business and things of that nature. I believe that if this woman really wanted to get an idea of what is going on in the industry and how to guide people, because she has a responsibility to do this, she should go well beyond just meeting with a specific clinic. Let's just
absolutely.
That's as far as I'm going to go with that one.
Well, I'll go.
I'll
go further
what I
myself.
mean.
Yeah. I'll take it from there. It's rose-colored glasses that the entire situation will be sitting in front of. They'll put them on her face and say this is what it is, and this isn't specific to this clinic, but any single clinic. It doesn't matter which clinic it is. Any single clinic would put rose-colored glasses on someone that's coming to investigate this so that they can look at it from their point of view, which may or may not be the same point of view of other clinics. The way to do this would be to be much more comprehensive, actually hire people to go into different clinics for consultations, to go in and meet these clinics herself to see how they're operating, from however they'll present it, to talk to patients that have been, talk to clinics that have worked on patients that have been, and they've had to do the repair work. Contact, I don't know, you or me to talk about what we know, and in my experience going to these places.
Well, here's the thing. She has been in contact with me through Facebook in the past, and she is a friend of mine, on Facebook, and she's a lovely woman. She's a mother, she's a wife, and she is a smoke show. Let me tell you that. So, I mean, I hope that is not politically incorrect to call her a smoke show, because she is. I don't see why, and I've noticed that you can't even compliment women anymore. But fuck it, I am. And she's a very smart person who I believe is attempting to do the right thing. Obviously, look, she's in business, as we all are. We're all capitalists. We're all out here to make some money, but there are ways to make money by telling the truth. I think she's moving in that direction. I think that's what she wants to do. I just think that when you are kind of outside of the industry and don't really understand it, and you're working from the outside in, as opposed to really working in the trenches like you or like me, or and that's about every aspect of cosmetic surgery. And guys, I'll take your call in 1 second. 888-659-3727. You have to really work from the other side to be able to fully educate consumers. And, that's why, I started Plastic Surgery Live. My first broadcast was with Real Self. We combined forces back, I think, in late 2012 or 2013. After that, let's say, experience, I made a choice to step back and say, "Oh God, this is going to be bad." I'm glad Real Self is successful. They do what they do, but this is not going to be a good thing to team up with. Now, most people be like, "Are you fucking crazy? You have an opportunity to work with Real Self and be their live, be their broadcaster and be the fucking." I sometimes I think, well, I guess I should have taken that, and then maybe, but I would have had a turn. I didn't want to give them false hope that I was like on board, and then have to turn. You know what I mean?
Right.
There are people who would do that. So, since 2013, I have been essentially studying the field of cosmetic surgery in a way that I think only a fucking freak like me would. And if you ask me about a procedure, I can essentially tell you how I believe how most procedures are performed today, and really what the risks versus benefits are, what should be avoided, who you should go to as far as having a specific type of procedure, and even if you go to them, you could be fucked up, and these are the reasons why. And it was almost a crash course that it's taken me 5 years. But since I'm not working directly in the industry, I needed to kind of get behind the scenes, and I have. And I want to thank a few guys like Gerald Manetti and Jason Emmer and Dr. Tim Nevin and others, Dr. Perlman in New York, who kind of let me in to the behind the scenes to learn exactly what's going on in the field. And let me tell you, it is fucked up. So I'm hoping that this woman, and I was thinking about reaching out to her, but I didn't want it to seem like it was self-serving, but I'm hoping this woman really, before she goes out there and spreads information that was kind of like planted and seeded in her head by, just one specific clinic, that she does take the time to really do some research, because a lot of people could be harmed out there if she doesn't.
Yeah.
Let's take a phone call. Hey guy, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Morgan, and I'm calling from Oregon.
Morgan from Oregon. How are you, man?
How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. I called in once before, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago, and I was talking to you guys about generic finasteride versus name brand. And anyway, I finally...
Can you do me a favor before you continue? Are you on speaker?
I'm not. Here, let me try something different. Is that better?
Try it again. Speak.
Is that better?
No.
Hold on 1 second. Sorry.
It's actually so
How's
much
that?
worse. It's unbelievable. I think that's good.
Is that
There you
better?
go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
but
worries,
anyway, so I was having problems with kind of like a brain fog type of situation when I was trying the generic finasteride, and I don't, I didn't really know what brand it was or anything. I got rid of what I had, and anyway, I finally got my my physician to prescribe me brand name Propecia, and I haven't started it yet. I literally just got it yesterday. But I was going to call you guys and ask you a couple of questions about it. If I do start having, some of the same issues, should I try and take like one like every 3 days and see if some of those types of side effects subside?
All right, so remind me. I remember your call for the most part, but remind me exactly what your experience was, your side effects.
So the side effects I was having, there wasn't any sort of sexual side effects, and I'd been taking it for about a week, so not a very long time. But it was just the brain fog you were concerned about. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my experience was, there was almost like a disconnect between my brain and my tongue, kind of. And it was, I don't know, it wasn't really that I couldn't find my words. It was just it felt different. Like,
did you ever hear Joe speak? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know, but it was just, I don't know. It was really hard to describe. And then I felt like maybe it did something a little bit to my peripheral vision, like almost as if it was.
That's
slowed
right.
down.
I remember you talking about that. Now that is, these are kind of unusual side effects as far as them being directly related to this drug. That's not to say that can't happen. There's always a person out there that's going to experience something that no one else may have experienced when they're putting a different agent in their body. And that's why if you look at the inserts now for finasteride, both Proscar and Propecia, there is a much larger list of potential adverse side effects that the drug company is essentially forced to include in their insert just based on in the real world usage. I forgot what that's called, Joe. You can remind me, but even if it's anecdotal. So that's why they had to list long-term adverse side effects. That's why they had to list things like depression. That's why it had nothing to do with clinical findings. So that could be a good one. You should call them up and let them know that you're having issues with your peripheral vision.
Right. Anyway, I'd read online that at least on a few forums, others that had experienced symptoms similar to mine, that at least 3 or 4 other users that I read had also been taking generic finasteride and then had reported that brand name helped them. So anyway, I went and got a prescription for brand name Propecia, and I was going to start trying it, I don't know, sometime in the next day or two. Like I said, I just got it yesterday and didn't really want to see it like in the middle, towards the end of my evening and that type of thing. So
what's the frequency at which you're taking it, or the generic? How often were you taking it?
When I was taking it, I took it pretty much. I think I did like 3 days on, and then I was feeling weird, and I took a day off, and then I did another couple of days, and I felt weird again, and then I kind of was just like, I don't know, I don't know about this, and I kind of stopped at that point. Like I said, I think I took it for about a week, and Anyway, so I was wondering, what would, if I do feel some of the same effects, like should I just stop, or should I give it a little bit longer, maybe just do once a week for a little bit, or?
Well, I think this is a good case to consider graduating your intake frequency upward over time. I've spoken about this a couple times on the show and dealing with patients online or through email. I think that you have the 1 milligram Propecia. Is that what you end up getting? Okay, so I think that
brand name. Yep.
I think it'd be a good idea to try maybe once a week for a month, every Monday.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm not a doctor. This is just from my personal experience. I know I know of a lot of guys, not a lot being like 10, that I've consulted with, where they were having some sort of side effect, and I suggested that they back off onto a graduated intake program, and it's worked fine for all of them. So in your case, maybe start like this coming Monday. You can take one pill on Monday, and then every Monday for the rest of the month. And then in July, take it Mondays and Thursdays, twice a week for all of July. And then in August, you can take it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So 3 times a week. And just see how that works out for you. You can even pick it up after that if that's fine as well. And if you do get to the point where you feel like you might be getting this disconnect, like you were talking about, this fog, back up. You can continue for another couple weeks to see if it does dissipate and take care of itself, or maybe consider backing off to the previous month's intake frequency and just hold there for another month, and then try going back again. And if it doesn't work there, then just go back to the previous intake frequency and just stay there. Twice a week is a lot better than none, So I think that's one way to consider it. Ease yourself into it.
Yeah, I can tell you, I think that's good advice. And again, we are both not physicians, but there's no doubt, at least anecdotally, that those who have tried that type of, whether you consider it intermittent therapy or you are just gradually getting yourself your body tolerating the drug better, a lot of people seem to get results pretty quickly, even if they're only taking 1 or 2 1 milligram doses a week.
Yeah.
So there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that is a good way to start, and it also has been shown to be effective. Not clinically, not during clinical trials. No doctor will tell you this. Well, maybe some. I don't know if Bauman agreed with that when he was on the program or not. I forget. But some will talk about their experience and that patients were getting on it gradually and still seeing positive results without side effects. So I think that's a good plan, and it could also help to allay your fears.
Yeah,
which is a big part of it.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, for sure. And anytime you start feeling that kind of weirdness, I mean, I don't care who you are, it's a little scary. And
I felt it last night, dude. I went out drinking with some friends of mine, and it was not good. So
that's some real amnesia.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What were you saying? Go ahead.
Who is this? Where am I?
What is this fucking camera?
You're right. Yeah. One other question I had for you guys too is I've been on minoxidil for 3 years, and I've had fairly good success with it. I think it's helped me hang on to a lot of what I have, and maybe keep some of the miniaturized hairs that I have back there around instead of just completely falling off. But I know you guys are kind of big proponents of finasteride. Try finasteride as a first line defense, and then go to minoxidil. Well, I'm already not there. So,
if you're already taking it, you said you're still on it, right?
Yeah. I've been on it for 3 years.
My advice would be not to fuck with it then, because you will probably end up going through an effluvium if you stop using it, and you're not going to know what the fuck is going on. You're going to think it's the finasteride. You could eventually wean yourself off of it, but it takes a long time. I did it, and I did it actually I don't want to say in real time because it wasn't real time. I was doing the show only once a week. But when I was on the radio, I'd say I was probably 3 or 4 years into the show, and I decided to start weaning off of Rogaine. Now, the funny part of that is, or the irony of that is that at the time, the makers of Rogaine were sponsoring the show through my syndicator when I was on the radio, and I was still saying, I'm stopping this stuff. But
Right.
it wasn't because I thought that it didn't work. I thought that it may not be working for me anymore, and that it kind of has a shelf life as far as, how long it's effective for most people. And again, that's my opinion. According to clinical data, that may not be the case, but I always look at minoxidil as a Band-Aid. But again, with that said, to repeat myself, you already have that Band-Aid on. Don't fuck with it for a while.
Right.
See how you do on
Gotcha.
your finasteride, and then you could always, sometime down the line, wean off of it. But I would take a year before I would really titrate slowly.
Yeah.
Right. Sure.
I agree. I'm not a big fan of just stopping any of these medications, and I think that if you were to, you've been on it for 3 years. I think that if you were to take even just a couple of months to wean yourself off, I think that would be a mistake. I think that you'd have potentially a pretty strong effluvium as a result of that. So really spread that out as far as you can if you feel like you have to get off of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it was just it was something that popped into my mind. I wasn't thinking about like just stopping or anything like that. Like I was just thinking if I am on Propecia and I am successful on it and I start to see good results, and say it's a year down the road, and maybe at that point I would start thinking about, hey, maybe I can start weaning myself off of minoxidil, because especially because you since I'm first starting Propecia, I'm going to go through, if I can make it, a month or two on it. At some point, I'm going to go through some sort of shed, and I don't want like a shed from stopping minoxidil and being on Propecia.
No, I mean it can be, and there are people who are going to hear this program and say that this guy is nuts, or this guy is making use of hyperbole. But the type of shed that you can get from minoxidil, and if you happen to be getting a simultaneous issue or while taking finasteride, it could put some guys on the brink of suicide. I mean, that's how much hair I know people have lost when stopping minoxidil. I mean, it could be just handfuls every day in the shower. And I have known guys, actually, and women, who have stopped showering because they think, they just don't want to deal with seeing all that hair in the drain, which is never a good idea.
Wow.
So,
yeah,
my advice is this. A year from now, you're probably going to be fine, and you're probably not going to have any adverse side effects, especially if you gradually get yourself on the drug. And again, we're not doctors. We don't know. There's no crystal ball in front of us. With that said, even in a year, if you're doing well, you still may not want to fuck with it.
Right.
Exactly.
You may think to yourself, all right, what's the big fucking deal? I put this on my head every day. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, no,
it's not a tremendous expense.
I really haven't had. Yeah, I haven't had really any side effects that I've noticed from it, so it's not been. I guess that I don't really even think about it, as far as the minoxidil goes. But I just I've heard you guys talk about it, and I was like, maybe if I do find success with Propecia and it's working really well for me, maybe I should think about not doing it anymore. But also I don't want to I don't want to cause myself bigger problems too.
Do not rock the boat. Yeah. There's no reason to at this point. That's my advice. That's how I would, I would act. And
right.
You're already on it. So be as conservative as possible, and that means don't fuck with anything right now. Just get yourself back on finasteride if that's what you want to do. It sounds like that's what you want to do. You already got your prescription. Yep. You obviously consulted with your physician, and they're fine. He or she is fine with it. So, I think you have. I think you're armed with enough information to make an educated decision right now.
Right. Sure.
All right.
Sure.
So, Okay. And I wish you the best of luck. Let us know how you do. I have a feeling the next time you call, we'll be able to tell if you have brain fog or not. So we'll let you know.
We'll tell when you call in.
I'll let you know. One other thing, I happen to get also prescribed generic finasteride because the pharmacy just fucked up my order the first time.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering, I was like, before, I mean, because I know you guys have said not to switch back and forth between brands. Like if you find a generic that works for you, kind of go with that, or if you're on Propecia, just go with that. But I was wondering, since I haven't really started yet, I was wondering, and these look different than the last ones that I had, these generics. I was wondering, should I just try and take one, and then maybe if I do get brain fog from it in a week or something, try the Propecia just to try it at first and see if I feel like there's any difference, or should I just go with Propecia and not talk about that other stuff?
Dude, I shouldn't even have to answer this fucking question for you.
Like what we've been talking about.
Yeah, you've already dealt with it. You know what? And find out what the street value of generic finasteride is and get rid of it. I'm just
stand on the corner and peddle it off.
Do not sell drugs. That's illegal. I would never advocate that.
I'm going to get a lemonade stand set up out here.
There we go.
You know what? People would buy it. There are companies now. It's funny because there are companies now, HIMS and a couple of other companies, that are essentially making it as though this is all something new, but they're selling generic finasteride, minoxidil, and other types of supplements, and they are advertising a lot. They must be doing very well. From what I understand, they wanted to advertise with us through GFQ. So, I mean, you're talking about putting out a lemonade stand. Essentially, they have a virtual lemonade stand for generic finasteride, which is brilliant.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyway, man, I wish you the best of luck. You already have the name brand. Start with that. That's my advice as a layman, not a doctor. It's not medical advice.
Yeah.
I just think it's common sense. It's like you went to go get this for a reason, so it's like don't let it sit in the corner collecting dust while you run tests on the generic. Just throw it away, use the name brand, and move forward, knowing that you've got the original that everyone else is basing their generics off of.
Right. That sounds like a very solid plan.
All right, man.
I thank you guys for your suggestions.
Oh, you got it, man. And we expect the check eventually. So we'll let you. We'll
in the mail.
We'll let you know. We'll let you guys know when we want to set up something with PayPal. So, all right, guys.
Yeah, the check's going to be dependent on my sales of generic finasteride.
Yeah.
All right, well, get out there and do some work, dude. All right, take care.
All right.
Good luck.
Thanks for calling.
Okay. Bye bye.
Yep.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. You know what? Until we get another call, I'm just gonna go with this. I think 93727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Well, it's Maury's wigs, man, and you're killing me with this intermission stuff. I mean, what the hell, dude?
Listen, dude, that's the way we're gonna roll. You motherfuckers don't call in, we're gone. That's it.
No, I was about to, and then the damn music started. But anyway,
yeah.
How you guys doing on a beautiful Friday?
You know what? It is a absolutely beautiful day. I know that you are in on the other side of the country, New York tri-state area, but here in LA, it is unreal.
Nice. Yeah, this morning it wasn't looking like it was going to be that great, but it's turned out beautiful. And actually, now that I got you on the phone, I'm going to step outside.
All right, cool.
But so a couple of things I wanted to tell you. First of all, I'm using the legit branded finasteride, and I noticed something really interesting at the gym today. I noticed that there's, like, I looked in the mirror, and I noticed that instead of the sweat running down my bald pate, it was beating up.
Oh.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So the sweat is beating up on top of my head. And I was like, okay, that's a good sign. So I just wanted to share that.
That's actually interesting. So what do you think? Do you think it's because you may have some vellus hair that you didn't have there before? And that's kind of...
It's got to be,
yeah.
right? So that's
well,
good.
either that or you put some like cocoa butter on your head.
No, didn't do that.
Okay.
So you're saying, sorry, if I heard this correctly, you're saying that after your workout in the gym, you're able to see sweat developing on your scalp.
Well, I mean, I've always seen sweat coming off my scalp. It's more like it was beating up, like it was being held in place by vellus hair, which I think is what.
Got it. Okay, I was going to say it just indicates that you finally decide to give your workout some real oomph, but you know.
No. I work pretty hard. Today I was basically I do 20 minutes of cycles, push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and then I get on the rower for about 20 minutes, and then I alternate that every other day with a 5K run. So I'm okay.
I'm actually considering, because I have a little bit of a hangover after the show, just having a little hair of the dog instead of doing my workout. But now I feel guilty.
I don't know.
Now I feel guilty. Dude.
Wait till tomorrow. Wait till tomorrow. When we get off the air, just go have a Bloody Mary.
Dude, I'm jacked.
That'll fix you.
I mean, that's the thing. The outside may look good, but I don't know what the fuck is going on the inside at this point. So that's when you got to kind of take a step back when you're in your 50s and say, all right, we may have to calm down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
So that was kind of one thing I wanted to share. The other thing that I have been noticing, because now it's probably, I want to say I think I'm in month 3 of using finasteride. The mid scalp and the back of the hair where the whorl pattern is. I used to have like a 3/4 whorl pattern, like a corner of it was missing. It's filled in.
Okay,
that's great.
In 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
Impressive.
It's not a hard fill, but you can actually see the pattern now.
Okay,
which is kind of nice. So that's kind of great. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is I wanted to talk to you about hairline design, because
I'm
going to go see Wesley, and I've been just looking at people's heads a lot, and I keep thinking to myself, okay, I'm 48 years old, I still have dark colored hair. I've got fair skin, although it does tan fairly decently.
Right.
And so.
We just lost you for a second. So what?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So the question is based on my skin tone, based on the color of my hair, based on my age, where do I want to be? What do I want my hairline to look like if I were to do some surgery?
How old are you now?
48.
Okay. And
49 in July.
And what's your Norwood or your approximate Norwood?
I guess it's 4A, 5A, somewhere thereabouts.
Okay, so you have a significant amount of hair loss.
Correct.
Yeah.
And as a result, I don't want to go crazy. I don't want to get back to 18. I don't even want to get back to 25.
Well, I'm
does.
gonna break the news to you. You won't be able to.
Mm-hmm.
So just deal with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Believe me, I had absolutely no intentions of getting there. It's just kind of silly.
But sadly, there are those who are watching this broadcast or listening who believe that that's a possibility based on all the bullshit marketing in this industry.
Yeah. I'll say this. I think that if you're going to go through with a hair transplant for the hairline, I think that with your degree of loss, the first thing to remember, and this is something that Dr. Wong taught me many, many years ago, you can always lower a hairline, but you can never bring it back up, realistically.
Gotcha.
And I think that if you go forward with the idea that the center of your hairline should be placed roughly 7 to 7.5 centimeters from the glabella, which is the point in between your eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly. Dr. Wesley can consult with you in that area. That will be enough to where it'll give you a frame for your face, which automatically, high or low, I don't care what anyone says, the hairline alone can take 10 years off your appearance. And what I'm saying is a high hairline, even if it's high, the hairline itself, no matter where it is, can take 10 years off your appearance. But what this also does is it gives you more hair to place behind it on the top, so you have coverage as well as a hairline, as opposed to just a hairline that's too low that all the grafts are needed just to put together.
Yeah, and you're not going to look odd. You got to realize you're a guy right now who does not have a hairline, and you have some vellus hairs, and they're growing from finasteride, which is great. So having it placed high, and I mean like high to the point where a young guy would be like, I do not want this. In your particular case, Joe's right. It will frame your face. It will give you the appearance, a much more youthful appearance. And if for some reason you're like, well, you know, and Wesley's like, you know what, well, you actually have a really great amount of donor hair. Your hair characteristics are working out, even though the contrast may be greater because you have darker hair and lighter skin, you know, which could, you know, could be an issue for some guys, depending on the caliber of your hair. You could bring that hairline down, like Joe said. So you definitely want to start. I would say 7.5, maybe even 8 centimeters. I don't know if you agree with that, Joe, but
no. It's like I was saying, somewhere in that range. But yeah, even 8 centimeters is really great for some guys. And one thing that you have to keep in mind is, and I've seen this thousands of times, where a hairline is drawn on your forehead by the doctor, and then you say, well, you kind of turn your head a little bit and you look in the mirror, and then the index finger comes up. It's the same way every time. Can we just close off this temple corner just a little bit? Just a little bit. Can we just round it? Well, the problem with just rounding it a little bit means that you have to lower the hairline a bit more for the profile to kind of balance itself out, because guys don't think about this. It's like every time you lower the hairline or any part of the hairline, the entire hairline itself has to be altered to accommodate that adjustment. And
also that adjustment, the lower your hairline, actually, the more density that you're going to need to make it look, in my view, completely natural. Yeah. So what am I trying to say? When your hairline is higher, it's placed higher, the eye, a person's eye doesn't go to anything that looks unusually thin. You know, they kind of expect it. You're expected to have a slightly thinner appearance if your hairline is that high. With that thinner appearance, though, you're still going to be framing your face. It's going to make such a significant change. But most guys, sadly, just cannot come to terms with that reality. And if they did, you'd hear a lot less people complaining online about their bad hair transplants.
Yeah.
I hear you. Well, I've been living without a hairline for so many years at this point that I am not all the hell crazy to basically give myself a Neanderthal look, if you will. That's not something I'm after.
Right.
Actually, what I was going to ask you guys is, if you know the actor Clark Clegg, he played this character, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was kind of the main dude.
Yeah.
That's
Agent Coulson.
kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah, Agent Coulson. That's what I'm kind of thinking about.
Okay.
Thoughts?
Let me look him up. How do you spell his name?
Just type in Agent Coulson, Coulson.
Yeah. Now I think he's wearing a piece now, but if you go back to the role that he had when he was playing love interest in Sex and the City, when I think he still had his own hair at that point, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Because even now, like the Agent Coulson hair that's a little bit too low, I would argue.
I don't remember what he looked like I never saw him in Sex and the City because I don't watch Sex and the City. But
yeah,
sure.
Well, you know, because it was this whole. The funny reason was like I've been watching this series and I'm looking at this dude. I'm like, okay, you know. And again, it's so funny. Start down this road, suddenly you start looking at everybody's fucking hair.
Of course.
You know, before
you basically screwed yourself, man. It's like once you go down this road, your priorities for what you're paying attention to disappear and change completely.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a good that would be a good, I think, reasonable hairline.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, it also depends on the shape of your face. If you, and this is something that all has to be taken into account. We're all like, okay, how high should our hairline be? How many centimeters from our eyebrow or from the middle of our eyebrow should it be? If you have a long, thin face, then it's probably more difficult to wear a very high hairline. However, if you have a long, thin face without a hairline, then you're probably fucked anyway. So anything's gonna help. You know.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
cool. I'm glad you approve of Mr. Clegg's hair, because that's kind of that's the thing I'm going to go into the doctor's appointment. Okay, I want something like this.
Well, I think that's very reasonable. It's very conservative, and depending on the shape of your face, it may be perfect for you, and you may not need anything else ever. So,
cool.
That's
why I like you guys, because I can ask an honest question, give me an honest answer. I had a feeling, and you said, you confirmed my suspicions. This is great.
Well, good. I'm glad we're able to help, and we always appreciate your call. And let us know what Dr. Wesley says. Listen, you also have to understand that each doctor has their own sense of aesthetics. No matter how good they are, no matter who they are, no matter whether they're IAHRS members or not, they all have their own sense of aesthetics. If you and to give you an example, if you look at the plastic surgery industry, you see all these man-made freaks, these women walking around the new normal. Now, that's based on a sense of aesthetics of these board-certified, in some cases, plastic surgeons. It's not that the procedure went awry. They thought that this was aesthetically acceptable and pleasing, and this is what they did to these people. So there are doctors out there who are technically very skilled, have the right infrastructure for the practice, who are honest as far as their truth in advertising and all that stuff, but they may have an eye or an aesthetic that is different from yours. And you have to put that into perspective also when you have your consult. All right, Matt?
Well said.
Excellent. One last question, and that has to do with density. Again, putting the age back in there, and in terms of what I'm looking for.
You're young, dude. You're fucking 5 years younger than me. Come on.
Well, I know, but I don't want to go crazy with this shit, man. It's all about naturalness. I tend to repeat a phrase.
Yes.
So for me, I'm thinking to myself, I remember when I was thinning, I kind of like, okay, I'm thinking I want to get to, if it's a first procedure, I don't want to get to the point where it looks so dense, But at the same time, the other concern I have is because of the caliper of the hair that they place, I guess it would be difficult to do a convincing thinning look.
Let me just say that
let Joe handle that one.
I have yet to come across a patient of any doctor, anywhere in the world that says after the first hair transplant into a hairline, it's too thick. Has yet to happen.
Well, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't mean that. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't want the whole you got lots of spacing between thick hairs as opposed to, you know what I mean? Because when guys lose their hair,
so you don't want, so you got thick coarse hairs. Your concern is not enough density.
Well, again, and this goes back to the caliper, right? Because from what I understand, you guys, when they pull a hair, they don't know what the final caliper of that hair is going to be, right?
Well, they know what it is if they actually view it under magnification. But most of the hair but I mean, but if I were Joe, you basically said hair's will basically try to graduate their hair based on thickness, and then they will, But the problem with doing that is that it could be based on the stage that the hair growth is in. Is that you may think
okay,
stay that caliper, but it'll get thicker over time.
If they're catagen hairs, or if they are,
exactly.
even if they're anagen, but they're just kind of moving into, they're not full terminal hairs yet.
Right, transitioning from telogen back into anagen. I think. Sorry, we're cutting out a little bit. I think that. That's absolutely correct. I personally believe that no one can look at the finer hairs on the scalp and determine that they are naturally finer hairs, or if they're being affected by DHT, or if they're transitioning from telogen to anagen just by looking at them even under microscopes. But if you get, say, 300 of these hairs that appear to be of a finer caliber, odds are a lot of them are going to be finer caliber when they do grow in. So even if it's not truly 300 single hairs that you find wind up being fine as they looked when they're in the scalp or under magnification, a good portion of them will be, and that itself will lend to, I hate saying a softer hairline because it's kind of a cliche, but what you're looking for being a softer hairline. The challenge with coarse hair, though, is generally a coarse donor hair is going to be a coarse transplanted hair.
Correct.
So there are other ways to approach that. One way to approach it is to have a higher density all the way up to the very front of the hairline. You can't have a soft transition zone with coarse hair. Not going to happen.
Exactly. That's exactly the point. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That no one should be telling you they can create a graduated soft hairline with coarse if you have generally a coarse donor supply.
But what I will, I don't mean to, I just want to interject this. But what can be done, and Joe, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I'm right. Is that the placement and the angulation can make a significant difference as far as even the very, very front of the hairline, even with coarse hair. So if things are staggered correctly, meaning say there's two hairs and then one hair in front, almost like in a triangle staggering type of a situation, if it's done where it's not like patternized, meaning that it's not something the eye's going to go to, but it's very random, it can make coarser hairlines, in my view, look feathered and softer than they would normally if someone just decided to go across that line, as a lot of guys do.
Yeah, I mean, there are small tricks that can be done to lessen the harshness of the hairline, maybe with coarser hairs. But I've never seen a hairline made of coarse hair ever look so soft and natural that it looked natural to me, if that makes sense. And what I mean by and let me be clear, they can look completely natural to the average person, but only because I know what I'm looking at. It's just a really I personally think that with coarse hair you're taking a bigger risk than with non-coarse hair, and that's just a fact. But if you find the right doctor that can work with it properly, it can look a hell of a lot better than if you don't find a doctor that can work with it properly. You got these little tricks of the trade, like I was saying earlier, making the density higher all the way up to the front of the hairline. As Spencer was saying, angulation. I think a flatter angle against the plane of the scalp also helps to camouflage that and to make it look less intrusive to the aesthetic. If that makes sense.
I mean, if it's shingled naturally, in my view, and if the angles are flatter, I think that I actually think that coarse hair could look pretty natural in a hairline if that's done correctly. But my advice is not to go out with Joe after your hair transplant, because he'll fuck you up.
Well, I mean, you guys have been looking at this crap for much longer than I have, so except I'm on my way to freaking getting that same degree of.
And that's where the booze comes in, by the way, because I mean, Jesus Christ, this has been like my life since I was a young man. It's really starting to get to me. But listen, dude, wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for calling as usual. And
Dude,
sorry about the
you guys, man. You're like my buddies on the internet here, so it's all
well.
good.
We feel the same way, and obviously we absolutely appreciate your patronage and your dedication. And I just wish other motherfuckers would do the same. So
all right,
I appreciate it, man.
Take it easy, guys. Have a great weekend.
All right, take care. You too. Enjoy.
Thanks for calling.
Enjoy New York, man. Bye bye.
I will. Take care.
888-659-3727. Hey, you are on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. It's Dave from Long Island. How you guys doing?
Dave, man, what's going on?
Good. Everything's good.
Good.
So, good. So I'm 6 months as of Monday. 6 months as of Monday after my transplant.
All right, so you're Dave from Long Island who went to Dr. B.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
So, can I show you my results? You guys do a little quick eval on the air. Would that be cool?
Oh shit! I don't know if you want to hear this, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh boy, come on! You're gonna crush me.
I'm gonna be fucking hard. No, listen. If it sucks, you know it.
I know. But 6 months is also halfway. So I mean, who knows what's gonna happen?
Mm-hmm. That's what they all say. No, I'm just kidding, dude. I'm sure it looks great.
No, I want you to be honest. All
right.
Where do I send it?
Send it to Joe.
All right, Joe. What's your?
And you have to give Joe permission for him to send it to me.
Send it to admin at hairtransplantmentor.com.
Transplant.
So apparently we're doing live assessments on the air now, guys. So Send all of your images to Joe Tillman at joedoesn'tcare.com.
All right, Joe, I sent it.
Joe at don'taskmeaboutpropecia.com.
Yeah. Joe at ihavealife.com.
By the way, Dave, let me know if it bounces back because I have been having email issues I've been working on today. Yay, Fridays.
All right. And admin at hairtransplantmentor.com, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I sent it. So let me know if you got it.
Okay, we'll do. And then while we're waiting for that, what do you think of it so far?
You know what? I'm pretty okay with it. I think there's a front part that I'm a little worried about. I mean, the rest of my scalp matured. It's starting to sprout hair, but then, like, there's a front part that has yet to get to the thickness where I want it. And I emailed Dr. Bloxham about it, and he just told me basically that, like, everybody grows different. 6 months is halfway. He gave me, like, a lot of encouraging, words. So, I mean, who knows? Okay. He says that he not everybody is a rock star at 6 months, which is true. Because the only thing, he keeps posting these videos online of people at 6 months who look amazing, but
that are rock stars.
Well, that's all part of, most guys market themselves that way. That they want to put their best foot forward, and that's just the nature of the game. And it's true. I mean, not everybody is a rock star. I think, and I've really tried to convince at least my membership to do this, and I haven't been able to. Only a handful of guys do. I think they should be showing the average results along with the rock star results and let people know this is what you can expect if you have this type of hair caliber. This is what you can expect the average hair transplant to look like at 6 months. They feel that there's so much competition now that they can't even take that risk. And that's unfortunate because I think that it really sets patients up for disappointment. And also, it's not great for the practice because then the practice has to deal with more hand-holding and, more guys calling in who are, fucking, nervous about their results when, in fact, everything's normal.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's a good example because I was going back and forth with Dr. Bloxham, worried, and he had to spend, he didn't have to. And actually, you know what? I mean, I wrote the check. I'm out the door. He has my money. He didn't have to be so accessible to me and write me back all the.
Well, no, I disagree. He does have to. He's a physician. It's first do no harm, and he's a young guy. And if he wants to last in this field, he's got to do exactly what he did for you. So, no one. I don't believe any doctor should get a medal for following up with a patient they performed surgery on and answering as many questions as needed to help allay the patient's fears. So no one gets a medal for that, dude.
I could see that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I understand. I understand your sentiment. I'm just saying. I don't want you to give people too much credit for doing their fucking job.
Yeah. You're right. You're 100% right. Yeah. Absolutely. I can see that.
All right, Joe. Did you get those pictures or what? Or do I play intermission music?
I got a collage. I'm going through. So let me ask Dave. So the top one, that's the latest.
How come I don't get anything?
It should be dated. There's dated on the bottom. There should be dates on there. Yeah, do you see the dates there, Joe?
Sorry, I'm sending it over to Spencer. Yes. Okay.
Did he give you permission to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, don't sell them to a porn site, but
Oh, dude! Once it's in my
why didn't you say that before? It's already up on Pornhub.
Once it's in my possession, dude, it's over.
Man.
Oh boy!
All right, so this is 6 months. Okay, so the first one is this is your 6 months image.
The very early one is a year and a half before the surgery.
Okay.
Okay, so I was a lot more far gone the day of the surgery. You follow what I'm saying?
I do. Because I was going to say, dude, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh. Yeah, I mean.
So, okay, so February 25th, that's before, and then we got immediate post-op.
Right, this is monthly. So it's before, immediate post-op, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
All right, so 6 months is the bottom picture, the very last picture that we're scrolling?
Yes, I think so.
All right. I'm going to give you my assessment judging from these images, and it's really hard to see, to be honest with you, because the angles are different. Your before images, it looks like it looks to me, and Joe, you let me know what you think. It looks to me that there was, even though I know that they shave over there, that there may have been some shock loss from your native hair. Is that something that you notice?
There might have been some shock loss, yes.
Okay.
But I think it grew back.
I can't. Are these all the images, Joe?
I think so.
All right, Joe. You tell me what you're seeing, because
it starts on February 25th at the bottom and goes up to May 29th at the top. Is that right?
That's right. Yep.
Okay, so it's top to bottom. I mean, it's bottom to top. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
You know,
I'm like, you may want to consult with Yelp, but no. Now that I'm seeing this, it makes sense. Okay, all right. So you probably did regrow whatever shock loss you had. You have good caliper hair.
Yeah, it's very thick, my hair on the side.
Okay. I actually think from where you came from, at 6 months, this is not an unreasonable result. Now, our hope is that the hair on your left side in the mid-anterior, or closer to the hairline, will start to establish itself like it did on the right side.
And that's what I emailed Dr. Bloxham about. He told me not everybody's a rock star at 6 months. Can you see the hairs kind of sprouting through there in the middle, though? It's not like it's a bald patch.
No. I definitely see it. The only issue that you have to think about is it going to match the other side? You never know. Joe, what do you think?
I do have a question before I get into my observations of
First
this.
of all, I could hear him freaking out over the phone, so be kind.
Well, I am going to be kind, but if you guys don't want to know the truth, don't ask. That's also
I'm good.
a lesson here. But no, my question: did you have any sort of scar tissue on your scalp at any time before?
I was actually going to ask if he had any type of inflammatory issues before his transplant.
No, so you mean where that patch is in the front?
Behind the hairline, yeah.
No scar tissue at all. No.
Okay, so what I'm noticing is, and this is as I scroll through the progression. So I'm just making sure you've got several photos from posted on the same day. But they're not.
Are you seeing compression, Joe?
What I'm seeing is bruising.
Okay.
I'm seeing bruising. It's let's see. If we go from the bottom, there's 1, 2.
What date is on that
3,
photo? You see bruising?
4. It's the fourth photo from the bottom. They're all dated February 25th.
Oh, all right. Well,
yeah.
I mean, they're all not the same. They're all like a month apart. They're all a month apart, except for the before and the post-op.
Well, I'm seeing the one photo. It's the fourth one from the bottom. I don't know how far out that is, but it's probably about a month after the surgery because you got a lot of stubble hanging on from the transplant. But I see bruising.
I see a lot
that's remaining.
I see a lot of bruising also that's remaining in the mid, right behind the hairline, and also on the right side of the hairline, and actually to some degree on the left side.
Yeah.
So the surgery was November 27th, and that's exactly a month after the surgery, the one that you're talking about.
Okay.
That's it says February 25th, but it's actually December 25th. For some reason, the date is messed up on iCloud when you send it.
Okay. And then what I'm seeing is as your healing is progressing, I'm seeing a consistent lack of progress in that one spot posterior to the hairline.
So right behind the hairline.
Yeah. And
okay.
And here we are at the 6 month point in the most recent photo. It's consistent in this area. So I am seeing improvement. I think that with a few more months, this will fill in, but it's not a normal I'll say this: it's not a normal progression for the area right behind the hairline to be lagging as it has been. But with this last photo, I am seeing improvement, so I'm pretty sure you can look forward to continued improvement in this area. Overall, I think it's okay, but I think in 3 more months it'll be a different picture. Yeah.
I think what you're going to know in 3 months is you're going to know the reality of the procedure. You're going to be a lot closer to what the end result is going to look like, and all those hairs should be breaking through. I have to agree with Joe. Looking at the direct post-op, from everything that I know, and again, I'm not a doctor, I would say there are certain areas that I'm not going to say we're overly.
Do you smoke, Dave?
What's that?
Are you a smoker?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, my concern is with the bruising, and also that it's possible that by trying to create a more densely packed area in certain parts, it seems like some of the areas are more densely packed than others, at least from these images. I don't know if you see that, Joe.
Sorry, what was the last thing you just said?
That some of the areas are a little bit more densely packed than others, in a less than aesthetically pleasing way, in my view.
Well, I can see it. Well, before you tell me, I can tell you what he did. He dense packed the hairline about maybe half an inch to an inch from the very beginning backward, and then there's a pretty steep drop off of density from that first half inch to 1 inch.
It's significant, actually.
Yeah, it's significant.
Right. He densely packed the first third of my head, and then he.
It doesn't look like he densely packed the first third of your head. It looks like the first
inch.
Not even an inch. I would say 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah.
I'd say he goes back an inch in the closer to the temporal area. But at the very beginning,
in the very center hairline, it's half an inch at best.
Yeah, and then on each laterally, if it's 3/4 of an inch, it's a lot. I don't even think it's that much.
Yeah, you can even see it. Sorry, Dave. You can even see it in the. Let's see. It's the 6th photo from the bottom. You can even see. You're probably 3 months out in this image. You can see the discoloration in your hairline along the very front. It's significantly discolored compared to the rest of your scalp, and that's because there's more bruising from the increased dense packing.
Now, with that said, that's not necessarily a terrible approach. A lot of guys will obviously dense pack the hairline, and that's what patients and consumers want. But there's something that we talk about a lot on this program, and that is time on tissue. And the reason why our members, and yes, there's plenty of guys who've had bad hair transplants by IAHRS members. It's just the name of the game. But they have to have a minimum of 500 surgeries that they perform themselves before they can even be a part of what we do. And that's all about time on tissue. And all of these things that I can see as a layman, that Joe can see as a layman, to me kind of speaks to possibly a lack of time on tissue, meaning that each case has its own surprises, and everyone's physiology is slightly different. So what this doctor performed on another patient, which could be very similar, has to be adjusted for your particular case.
Right.
And there are certain things that can be seen during the procedure there needs to be adjustments made during that procedure, and those adjustments need to be something that is discussed with you during the procedure.
Right.
So
what you're saying is that basically I have a lot of bruising. It looks like from the post-op picture that I sent you, it looks like I had a lot of bleeding there. I mean, is that?
I would say that to me, it looks like you either smoke pot on a regular basis or you're a cigarette smoker based on your scalp. Now you say that you're not a smoker, which is great.
Yeah. I rarely smoke pot.
I fucking miss cigarettes, but anyway, those are some of the characteristics that I would normally see, and Joe brought it up, and I'm glad that you did, Joe, from someone who is a light to moderate smoker, someone who just, maybe a chipper, a heavy smoker, the bruising and the recovery and just post-surgery is just ridiculously bad.
Yeah.
Right. All right, well.
So, but with all of this said, you're asking us for the truth. This is where you're at right now. 9 months from now, you could say, okay, motherfuckers, look at this. And you could be walking around like Elvis. I mean, probably not like Elvis, but you could be walking around with a completely satisfactory head of hair that you are really happy with.
Right.
That possibility is there.
I mean, as long as I get to where I need to be, and not like Elvis, but just where I get to where I'm expected to be, that's fine. I mean, as long as, the bruising went away, the redness went away, all of that goes away. Now it's gone, and just hopefully I'll get to where I need to be in the next few months,
And I agree with that. I mean, the only thing I think, the one reason Joe brings it up is that, that initial stuff, things that last 2, 3, 4 months, actually help to dictate the final results of your surgery, even if things do go away.
Now, Joe, did you get that other picture I sent real quick?
Didn't know you sent another one. Let me look.
Yeah, look real quick, because that's a lot. That's very telling as to where he put the grafts and all that stuff.
Nothing yet. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, I was looking. I was going to say in that what looks to be 1 month photo, I can see the demarcation where you were saying he dense packed the frontal third. I can actually see a demarcation from that area to the areas posterior to that. So this photo kind of confirms that. Let me see if I can, see if I can send this to.
It's telling, right? Like it tells you. Yeah.
Yeah. Just let me. I need to download it so I can blow it up a little bit. Hold on. Spencer,
guys,
I'll drop this to you.
I had no hairline before this. So.
Well, here's the thing, guys like you
win on that front.
Yeah, guys like you make the best patients because you had no hairline. So, you're not going to see certain things that other people may see because all of a sudden you have this fucking hairline and you look so much better. So that
you gotta frame your face.
Yeah, you framed your face. So the doctor's off the hook with that shit. So that's why I always tell everybody, you wait, Norwood 3 or above to have a hair transplant if you want to have the most satisfaction. Let's see. Let me see this picture.
Are you taking Rogaine?
Yeah, I'm putting minoxidil on once a day.
Okay, were you doing that before surgery?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
But
So that was
I stopped it 3 weeks before the surgery, though.
Right. Okay. So yeah, this photo you sent certainly shows what Spencer and I were talking about with the dense packing of the frontal hairline. And when we say frontal hairline, we mean, like I said, 3/4 of an inch to an inch, depending on where you are in the hairline. The area behind it, it is definitely a higher density than the back half of your scalp going into the vertex.
Right.
It's probably double the density, but it's not a high density to begin with. It's probably. Well, actually, looks like he tried to go really high at the very front hairline and fairly high in the frontal third. What that number is, I can't say. That's probably, I'll guess, in the 40 to 50 range in that frontal third.
Yeah.
Which means you try to go higher in the very frontal hairline. You do have a bleeder in the center.
Yeah.
You were definitely a bleeder, and that's what I was asking about your minoxidil use. And I imagine this is a photo taken the day after your surgery. Would that be correct?
It's the 29th. My surgery is on the 27th, so it's 2 days
afterwards. So 2 days later.
What about any herbal products or aspirin or anything like that?
I don't do no aspirin, no nothing. I follow the post-op directions to the letter, the pre-op directions to the letter. No aspirin, nothing like that.
So this bleeding that you got here, you see these rivulets of dried blood. It looks like you lost a graft or two from sleeping. That's what this is. When you lose a graft,
No,
this is what it looks
blood.
like.
That's dried blood from the post-op. That's remaining blood. That's from I had that on the 27th too, the day of my surgery. There was no bleeding at all. It was all dried.
Okay. All right. Well, then it's not a lost graft, but this should have been clean. It should have been cleaned up when you left, but that's neither here nor there.
And what about your blood pressure? Is everything normal?
Yeah. I'm in actually pretty good shape.
Okay.
Everything's fine. Yeah.
Look, I think in general, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. I look at this photo you sent, and that I sent over to Spencer, and that area that I was concerned about does have a discoloration that's slightly different than the rest of your scalp in this photo.
It just looks like regular bruising, like redness to me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you guys.
It's a little darker in this one spot, which is a subdermal buildup.
But here's the thing, and I don't mean to cut Joe off. I mean, you have to understand that we're looking at relatively dark photographs.
Yeah.
We're looking at images that we're taking either by your phone, most likely, or I mean, every image, every angle, everything is going to look slightly different than it looks in person.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult for us to tell. I would have made some different choices as far as the distribution of your hair, especially in the crown. In my view, I think that some of that hair could have been probably utilized and maybe saved for the future, because in your particular case, because of your level of hair loss, I believe that you will probably need another procedure in the front and in the mid-anterior scalp.
In the front, huh?
Possibly in the front, but definitely in the mid-anterior scalp, in my view.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that you're going to look at yourself in the mirror, especially if everything grows. You're going to be looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, holy shit, this is a great thing I did for myself. But as you continue to look at yourself, you're going to be like, well, you know, when I move my head to this side, or if I look at myself with a mirror on the side, I can see the way that I look and the way people are going to view me. And I'm not presenting myself to the world in the way in which I see myself directly in the mirror. Do you know what I'm saying? So you're probably going to want to get more work done. I would say, I would almost guarantee that.
So you think the density won't be as dense it won't be to my liking as dense as I would want it?
I think your hairline can be, for sure, just judging from this. If everything grows, I think that you'd probably be happy with your hairline. I do think, though, once you look in that hair mirror on the side, which a lot of doctors may not discuss with you, you will probably feel that angle is not as dense as you like. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, Joe?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And when people ask me if it's going to be as thick as I want, I have no idea. I don't know how thick you want it, and I don't know. I've seen cases where I remember seeing a case that was placed at near 100 grafts per square centimeter, and it looked like it had great growth, and the guy was like, "Can it get thicker?" It's like, serious? It's like everyone's got a different idea of what thick enough means, right? But with that said, my question to you is, what was the game plan for the long term? How many procedures were you told that you would need, quote unquote need, to get to where you want to be happy? Were you told one procedure? Were you told 3 procedures? What was the game plan?
And by the way, before you answer that question, guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. We do have a full board, so if you are getting the non-busy signal where the phone just hangs up on you, realize that all the lines are lit. We will be taking some more calls after this, so stay with us. Again, 888-659-3727. Okay, man, I'm sorry.
He said, yeah, no problem. He said you should be pretty satisfied with this procedure, and if you want to do the crown, you can come back to the crown.
All right. I believe that is a very typical statement made by many physicians in the field, because it gives the patient a sense of, well, maybe I only have to go through this once. And it helps to kind of allay the sense that this is going to be an ongoing process in order for me to get to that point. Go ahead.
That was a bit of a fib, but I never discussed with getting another procedure. I said I was fine with the crown being open. I'm just happy to have a hairline and have some hair on top of my head.
Right.
But
Okay.
what I know that he does for a lot of patients is he takes care of most of the head, like the hairline and the frontal third, and going towards the vertex. And then you come back for a crown procedure if you really want it.
Right. Okay, so the fib was, you're saying that you just made a little fib, or it was what he said was a little fib?
No, I did. I told
Okay.
you guys that I discussed having another procedure with him and that he can
hang up.
come back and do the crown.
We don't talk to fibbers here. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Well, listen, here's the good news. This is what I will say. For his lack of time on tissue, he has definitely, you could definitely see that he's learned from somebody. I mean, I know that he trained with Alan Feller, that he learned how to do a transplant correctly. That is that's huge in this industry. So as far as that's concerned, I think that you definitely lucked out by making that decision. There are things, and again, every case is different, that I look at and I see not necessarily a red flag, but a potential issue down the line that could cause you a little bit of an emotional issue, meaning that you may be slightly disappointed, but you may not be. You may, when things grow in, you may be like, fuck, this is exactly what I was looking for, and I'm totally satisfied, and fucking Kobren and Tillman don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Go fuck them, and I'm going to live my life. And I hope that's the case.
I hope it is too, actually.
Yeah. But I do think that here's the thing, and again, guys, hold on, we'll take calls in a second. Once someone goes through a cosmetic procedure of any kind, they see themselves differently. They almost forget what they looked like before the procedure. And then they start to look at the issues. If you're not that type of a guy, then you're probably going to be very happy with the result.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, though, I mean, as long as I get to that, I might take a little longer to grow than others, but as long as I get there, I'm good, you know?
And I think
like
I think that there's a possibility that you will. I mean, that's the thing. We don't have a crystal ball. You're asking us for an assessment based on what we are able to see right now through images that can be slightly off. Mm-hmm. And all. So this is what we see right now. In 3 months, it could be like, holy shit. And, and that's what I'm hoping for.
And listen, I would be worried. If that left side of my head was like a complete bald patch and there was nothing there, I'd be worried.
Yeah.
But there's hair sprouting through it. And I guess all they have to do now is mature and get thicker.
Right.
And then that area will fill in like the rest of my scalp. The rest of my hair, I got hair there, except for that left side. So hopefully that left side is going to catch up in the next couple months, like Dr. Bloxham said when I emailed him. So... But,
well, I can tell you, I think your hairline looks, I mean, especially for guys who have no hairline, your hairline is going to look good. I think you're going to be happy with the way that it frames your face.
Right.
So that alone is, I think, good news.
And do you guys see that cobblestoning there, too, in one of the first in the earliest months? I looked online and I found out it's called cobblestoning, where it kind of...
That's why I asked Joe if he noticed any compression. I do notice a defect, which is not uncommon, and
physiology or
will be covered by hair.
I will say that at this point, at 6 months, it's too early to say, and I know the tools that Dr. B is using, and this is not an unusual appearance, where at 8 to 9, 10 months, it'll continue to recover because it's still in the recovery mode,
right.
and it'll smooth over.
Right.
My head's still numb though, by the way, too.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it will be.
Yeah, it takes a while for those branches to grow back, man. And
how long, Joe? Joe, how long? Do you know how long it'll take?
Well, where are you numb?
Directly behind the hairline, and basically, I would say I'm about 75% numb all over my scalp still, but not the back. The back is pretty good now. Where the donor was taken is not numb, but the rest of my scalp on top is 75% numb still.
I'm going to let you deal with this, Joe.
Yeah, that 75% numb on the top. I'm sorry?
I said you got 9 surgeries. You're more than qualified, right?
Yeah, I've been down this road. I will say that sounds like it's lagging behind.
Yeah.
6 months you should have more feeling back in the top of your scalp. On average, physiology being different from person to person, I would suggest that you look into adding some was it B12 supplements.
Okay.
Not a doctor, but B12 can help with nerve regeneration. I would consider adding that to your nutrition routine.
Sounds good. I'll take that advice from not a doctor.
Thank you. I would also have you talked to Dr. B about that part?
I'm going to see him next month, and I didn't talk to him about the numbness yet. I'm having a 7-month follow-up next month.
Okay. Yeah. I think that talk to him about this. In my experience, it's lagging behind.
Any concerns I should bring up with him when I see him next month?
Everything that you brought up to us.
Okay.
Yeah, everything you brought up to us. I would, let's see, any other questions that you could ask him? I would ask
to see his apartment, actually.
What's that?
I would ask to see his apartment, see how much he's getting paid.
There you go. Ask if he lives nearby or if he's in the city.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, I think in general, for someone who is as new as he is, I think that it's clean work. He was well trained, and you may come away with a really awesome result.
Yeah.
I certainly hope so. Maybe I'll do a follow-up in 3 months with you guys, huh?
You should.
This will be fun.
Absolutely.
Fun, right?
Anytime.
Do it again.
Absolutely. And this is out there in perpetuity now, so I'm sure Dr. B is watching it, and I'm hoping that he realizes that we are giving him, we're giving him his props. I mean, I think for a young guy who's new, it looks like he's doing a pretty good job.
No, and he's been very responsive, like I said, and he's a very nice guy, and I have full confidence that I'll be good. I hope.
Well, when you say I have full confidence, and I hope, that means you don't have full confidence. But I hope that that you are happy. And from what I can see, just judging from where you're coming from, even if it's not 100%, you're going to be happy.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
All right, man.
Yep.
All right. Well, listen.
All right, I appreciate it, guys.
Listen. Good luck. Let us know what happens, and don't think you're fucked or anything. You're going to be okay.
Okay.
All right, man. All right. Take care.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
888-659-3727. Let's take a call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, Spencer. Hey, Joe. It's Dave from Liverpool.
Dave from where?
Liverpool.
Dave from Liverpool. Whoa. Welcome, man. How are you?
Hello.
Holy smokes, man.
How are you? I'm
good. How are you?
I'm brilliant. It was just a quick call with regards. I'm looking on having my 4th surgery early next year-ish, around that time. And as you know, I'm currently taking finasteride and minoxidil. And I just wonder what your opinion would be with regards to minoxidil, when I should come off it before the surgery, and how long before, and should you taper off it, and then when you can potentially go back on it after the surgery.
That depends on your physician. Each physician or each clinic will give you a different protocol to follow before your surgery. If you're taking minoxidil, I know clinics that encourage you to continue using minoxidil all the way, up to the day of surgery, and then start back the day after or a few days after. Some clinics will say stop taking it 6 weeks before, 1 month. Personally, I'm not a fan of it anyway. And people need to understand what it does to the scalp. But it turns a scalp into like this greasy, almost like gristle on steak type of texture that's very slippery. And so when you're placing grafts into the scalp, it can cause the pressure of being in this incision, because it's slippery. The graft can pop right out. I've seen this happen. It's really a bizarre thing to see. But I don't know if you can see the screen, but like the graft.
I can't see.
Okay, so people watching, if this is the plane of the scalp, the graft will literally just pop up like this, and stand on end on top of the scalp. And I've seen that happen with like a dozen grafts at once. It's really bizarre. And the patient was on minoxidil. So other clinics, I don't know how they deal with it. Sometimes they'll do a lot of adrenaline to restrict blood flow. Doesn't always work, but I think you should be off of it for, I'd say a medium would be 3 weeks, because the other issue is because you've been on it for so long, you don't want to risk a shed from being off of it for too long. So that's the balance, and that's another reason why I don't like it, because a lot of clinics will have you come off of it before surgery, but then where's that threshold of where too early will cause a shedding to occur? I don't know. I mean, I think 3 weeks might be it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. Do you know? I'll be honest. I mean, after my previous transplant, I've always kept my head shaved for like a good 6 months, until quite a lot of the hairs come through before I've grew my hair back. Yeah. So it's not a concern really, isn't it? What it looked like, regards like with a shed or the thickness. It was just mainly beforehand when you recommend coming off. But
well, when I talk about a shed, I'm not talking about the temporary kind. I'm talking about like the hairs that the minoxidil was hanging on to are gone because the minoxidil is no longer hanging on to them. Right. Okay. So those don't come back. They're gone.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a difficult one, isn't it? To weigh up what's best to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also, Joe, I was wondering, with you having so many transplants, with my last transplants, I had FUE, and obviously they took grafts because I've had 2 FUTs before that from above the scar on the back of my head, and also they took some beard grafts. I just wondered, on the back of the head, where can you take hair? Obviously, you can take from right to the back, but can you take it from more at the sides as well, or is it mainly just from the back of the scalp?
Oh yeah, no, you can take them from all the way up on the sides to right behind the temple, or the temple points, to within reason. You can go higher up. I'll put it like this, like with a strip surgery, like my strip scars go about as far forward as you can imagine before actually getting into my temple. It's maybe a centimeter behind my temple peak on either side.
Right. With
FUE, you can go pretty much that same distance, but you have to reduce the density as of extractions as you're moving toward the front, because you don't want to have this sudden drop off or demarcation of low density to high density because of where the extraction pattern ended. So it has to be a gradualized reduction of density towards the front, but then you also have the benefit of going lower down towards the ears to a certain point, and you can go higher up onto the towards the parietal humps, not too far.
Yeah.
But it's very dependent on the patient and their physiology, because some patients you can look at and you can see that they've got really strong donor hair higher up, and you can safely take that hair, or so we think. But all indicators show that. But yeah, you can easily go very far into the sides as opposed to just the back. And actually, that's the preferred way. Even if you're having a small procedure, virgin scalp, 1,000 grafts, which is not a big procedure. I'm a big proponent for taking all those grafts from the entire donor area to really create as little impact to the density as possible.
Yeah. Cool. That's good. I mean, as I say, I had beard grafts with the last one, and I've got quite a good growth and healthy beard, and especially a lot of hair under my chin to the Adam's apple type point. So I was potentially thinking about getting quite a lot of grafts moved from there, and grafts obviously from the side of my head as well, to have me 4th and final transplant, and then hopefully that'll be me done.
Do we know where you're going? Did you disclose that before?
To be honest, I'm not sure. I'm going to do quite a bit of the last operation, or should I say, the hair transplant I had was I went to Chandigarh in India to the Darling Buds, Dr. Bhatti, and I got really, really good results from him. So I'm potentially maybe going to go back there. But
I mean, if you got good results from Dr. Bhatti, and
it's like why not go back?
It's like why not go back, especially the price is right too.
Yeah, the price. That's, I mean, the price is great. I mean, I know that's not the most important thing, but obviously, if you're on a budget, you know what I mean. It is important.
I agree. It is not the most important thing. The only reason I brought it up is because you've already had experience with Dr. Bhatti.
Yeah.
So
I think it's more important for patients when you find a doctor that you're happy with when it comes to hair restoration. And in my opinion, it doesn't make any sense to hop around to try and find other doctors, because if you find that doctor that has the combination of, a good pre-op protocol, making sure that you feel comfortable and welcome in their clinic, obviously, the surgical skill, the final result, how they treated you afterwards. If you find that perfect storm, don't go looking for another one. Unless there's some sort of, unless your passport won't let you back into India for whatever reason, I see no reason not to go back to them.
Yeah, to be honest, the two surgeries before and then going on to this third one, the results are just light and day. It's just night and day. To say, it was unbelievable.
Who did you go to before?
Who was the first one?
The first one was it was in Malaga in Spain. It was with a company called Vinci. That's obviously in different places all over the world.
I know Vinci.
And then the second one was with the same surgeon, but it was privately through him, not through that company. So it was with his own company. And he was working for Vinci.
So let me ask you this. So you said it was like night and day. So your first surgery, and again, this is for. Obviously, this is something you've been through personally, but this is really for those who are listening and who just tuning in to kind of, share this experience, because a lot of people go through this. Were you unhappy with the first surgery, or did you think that the first surgery just maybe wasn't enough and you were told that you needed another surgery to get to where you needed to be?
I've got mixed feelings, really. I'd say, with hindsight, I was happy because obviously, your previous caller, you were saying about, framing the face and stuff. So we framed my face, gave me a hairline.
Right.
My expectations were probably for it to be better, but I think my expectations are unrealistic. Based on the consultation saying, you'll potentially need 2 surgeries, but the first surgery will be hairline to mid scalp will be full, and then potentially second surgery to fill the crown. As it turns out, after my third surgery, I'm where I've come from to where I am now is just unbelievable. I have nothing, you know what I mean? And now it's to the point now where, it's me who notices the thin areas where I think other people wouldn't even really notice them, to be honest. I sent Joe a couple of pictures after we spoke last time, a couple of weeks ago. So sent me a before picture and a few after pictures.
So overall, okay. So that I just want to get an idea of what your experiences were prior to seeing Dr. Bhatti. But overall, would you say that the entire experience of having 3 hair transplants was a good one?
I'd say only after the first 2, it was just a nightmare. As in, I was always questioning, why have I done this? I wish I wouldn't have done this. Using concealer to the point of, myself thinking, the paranoia of, can you see it? And all that goes with that. It was, after the first 2, I regretted it and wished I would never have got a hair transplant. And the third one's put me in a position where it's eventually been a good decision through a lot of years. And I'm now in a situation where I think if I have the remaining hair moved, which from the donor area I've got, I think I'll be as happy as I ever could be, and my expectation will be met that I had from day one.
Well, that sounds good. It sounds like you finally you're getting to a place, and you got to a place after your 3rd surgery where you're comfortable in your own skin. You're no longer questioning your decisions, and that's big. That's a big thing.
I got a question though. So you went to the first doctor at Vinci, but then that doctor left, and you followed him to his private practice. Why did you follow him to the practice? Did he contact you, say, I'm now working with myself or for myself, or did he leave and then you went looking for him?
But he didn't leave. I believe he still works, or at the time when I had the second surgery, I believe he still worked for Vinci, but he had his own clinic in Marbella. And from the first surgery, we kept in touch via social media. So when I was due a second transplant, when I was looking to like fill in the crown area, I contacted him direct, and he said, we were chatting. I sent him a few pictures from the first surgery before I decided the second surgery, and I just mentioned to him, I'm looking on a second surgery with chatting, and he just said, yeah, but you can come straight to me, come to my clinic in Marbella as opposed to go through Vinci.
Okay.
And that's how that happened. So it was the same. He must have the same team following around. So it was the same technicians that were working for both. So yeah, with hindsight, big mistakes. Should have done more research, which I've got to take on the chin. And I think the only problem is that where I'm going now, I was kind of restricted to the point that I needed to have FUT, and the two FUTs I had, if I'd have had really good surgeries, FUT, it would have obviously been better, but if I'd have had FUE straight away, I would never have got the coverage I need. So Dr. Bhatti only does FUE, so he doesn't do FUT. So if anyone looking on going into his clinic, I think it's better for smaller operations or people who've got great density in the donor area.
Okay.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to have to call it a day, but I appreciate the call, and I think that obviously your question, I should put the camera on me. Your question about minoxidil is an important one, and I think for those who are tuning in who are either considering surgical hair restoration or hair transplant surgery, who have undergone hair transplant surgery and may not have been completely happy with their first result, you're an example of, okay, you may not have been completely thrilled and you were questioning your decision, but after your third surgery, you're in a position where you're satisfied, you are happy, and you think that in the end you made a good decision to undergo surgery. There's a lot of guys out there that are still questioning their decision, so it's good to hear a story like yours, and for them to be able to hear it as well.
And I would encourage you. I'm going to tell you what to do, but I think that it's in your best interest to not be so anxious to find other alternatives once you found someone like Dr. Bhatti that really, obviously, in your own words, made a night and day difference for you as far as your outcome. It's I don't want to say it's rare to find someone like that, but you're much more likely to find an experience that's not quite as good when you start going out there and trying to find someone else after you've had a great experience.
Yeah, to be honest, Joe, I think the main thing for me with regards going back to India is the distance, and it doesn't bother me the distance. That's wrong. Now it's the once you've had the transplant, coming home with a hair transplant on a connecting flight and waiting in airports. And
I'll tell you how to avoid any issue, and that's simply stay in Chandigarh for a week or even 4 days. And after 4 days, you're pretty solid.
Yeah, I stayed for 5 days last time.
Okay, yeah, you're fine.
So that's okay. That was my main concern, was coming home with, I don't want to, I haven't washed it or getting knocked or whatever. It's just that was my main worry. With India's a very busy place as well, so it's quite the hustle and bustle of Delhi airport was quite something.
Yeah, no, I get that. I understand that, and I think that the best thing for you is if you want to go back, to avoid any sort of potential for someone banging your head and knocking grafts out, is stay in Chandigarh for a week and just enjoy the sights, and then hop on a plane and go home, and everything will be fine. You'd have to get hit in the head pretty hard for the grafts to come out after a week. Yeah. I
just wanted to say as well, that clinic in India, I know this is probably horrendous. I'm sure there is terrible clinics. We hear stories in Turkey and India and different places, but that clinic was just brilliant.
Well, I hear he's got a new facility now too. He's got a new hospital that he built called Five Rivers. Yeah, it's supposed to be nice.
Okay.
You know what I like about Dr. Bhatti is, first of all, he's He's one of the few doctors out there. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're from. You know, everyone has fears of being honest and telling the truth about what's happening in the industry. Dr. Bhatti is not one of those guys. He will speak his mind and let people know exactly what's happening. He does have an incredibly high-tech, beautiful facility, and his new facility is more beautiful than the one that you were at. And I guess what I think is difficult for a lot of these guys, even the better Turkish doctors, is they are forced to compete with all of these chop shops that are just, I mean, you wouldn't even want to walk into these places. I mean, I've seen guys who are wearing sandals during surgery. I'm not joking. Exposed feet.
Wow.
You know? So, yeah, I mean, so I don't want to, you know, when we talk about Turkey and India, and I'm glad that you brought this up, I don't want to use this broad brush in saying that all these clinics are shit, because they're not. That's why we have a couple of doctors on the IAHRS and a couple of guys from India on the IAHRS as well, because these are just they're the anomalies in their parts of the world. And you were lucky enough to find Dr. Bhatti, so I think Joe's right. I mean, the way that I see things is, if it's just out of convenience and you're concerned about travel, that shouldn't even be put into the equation. If it's if you're happy with the surgery, and apparently you are, and you're happy with the treatment and the facility, that should be your main concern. Everything else can be worked around.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
All right,
and
man.
just finally before I go, Joe, do you know the you're saying about Dr. Bhatti's new clinic? Is that in a similar location in Chandigarh, or does he?
I have no idea. I know it's in Chandigarh, but I don't know.
Right. Okay.
I don't know where. It may or may not be close to. I saw pictures, and I think it's. I don't know where his old place was, but I think it's on top of a hill someplace. That's just based on pictures I remember seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, his old place
with a view.
Built up area. Yeah, cool. Well, it'd be better. I mean, it was quite shocking, really, when you seen. I mean, like, it was the biggest eye opener in my life going to India. It was an amazing place to be. But where it was last time, it was like by like a little shopping square with all shops, and it was like on the top of like quite high up. But it was you went into the clinic, and it was just the cleanest place with the most friendly people. It was just amazing experience.
Well, that's great, and it's important for others to hear that as well. So listen, man, I wish you the best of luck. Let us know what you decide to do and when you decide to do it. And we're here. We're going to be here at least twice a week live. So anytime you have a question, feel free to call.
Brilliant. You have a good rest of the show, and both you guys take care.
All right, man. You too.
All right,
take
thanks
care.
for calling.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
I think we should call it a day or a night, depending on where you are, Joe. I mean, I know where you are.
I'm in the same time zone as you.
Well, I know where you are, but I meant for everyone who's listening.
No, are there any other calls?
No, and don't ask for them.
Then that is a yes. We're done.
Okay. Guys, thank you so much. Obviously, we will be back for the Tuesday broadcast, which is Tuesdays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and that makes it, let's see, about 2 o'clock in the morning in the UK. Right? Or 1?
It's 1.
Yeah. So if you guys are coming back from the pubs, call us. We purposely do the show at 5 p.m. Pacific so we can get the drunk guys from the UK to call in.
Exactly.
So
you're hilarious when you've been drinking.
Yeah. So give us a call. Obviously, we are now experimenting with doing the live broadcast twice a week. If the phones continue to ring and they are busy throughout both broadcasts, there is a possibility we can do a third show, depending on Joe's busy schedule.
It's pretty busy.
Yeah, but the content is good. It's important that I think it's one thing for me to and believe me, this is important too. To interview, have my undercover tech interviews and my undercover doc interviews, and to speak to physicians about the current state of the field and all the stuff that Joe and I do when we're not taking phone calls. But for me, the beauty of what we do is we're giving you guys the opportunity to hear from others who are in the same position as you, or from others who are in a position that you're considering putting yourself in. And that means you're considering surgery. That means you may have had surgery and you're not sure if you're happy with the results yet, or you are anxious about what's going to happen in 6 months. A lot of these questions and concerns and fears can be allayed by listening to other people's experiences. That's what the show has always been about. Joe Tillman's website is hairtransplantmentor.com. You can always watch archives of these live broadcasts on Joe's YouTube channel, which is Hair Transplant Mentor, right? Joe Tillman, Hair Transplant Mentor, whatever the fuck it is.
YouTube.com/Hair Transplant Mentor.
Okay, you could, and go to thebaldtruth.com, where I have not been putting up as much content as I should, but we have so much content in the can that we are going to be putting up a lot of segments and full broadcasts of the show. It would be of great service to The Bald Truth if you guys signed up in the newsletter area. Just put your email address. Nothing is sold. We do not sell anything or provide any emails to people who are selling products or services. Just so you know, when a new segment is put on The Bald Truth, and it does help The Bald Truth a lot. So over the years, we are over 500,000 people who have subscribed. It doesn't mean that they're all watching or viewing or whatever it is. Some of these guys could be dead, or they have dead emails. That's the nature of the internet. But so go on thebaldtruth.com. There's a little area to put your email address on the upper right-hand side, if I am correct. I'm not looking at the site now. And just provide that information so that you'll be notified when we put up segments. Also, iTunes. We're getting a shitload of downloads for the iTunes podcast. However, we have not been putting up a podcast every week, even though we're doing 2 live broadcasts every week. That's going to change. I was speaking to my guy today, and we're going to make sure that that is taken care of. So subscribe to the podcast as well. Each resource is going to be slightly different. So you're going to be learning and hearing, and there'll be different calls and different segments on all the different resources we have. Also, IAHRS.org for the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. We also have a podcast section on there, and those segments are going to be different than what we're putting up on the other resources. So we want to kind of create an eclectic mix of all the different content that we've created over the years. And also, God, we have so much content just from this year alone. And I think we're, halfway through the year?
Literally.
I have I literally have thousands of pieces of content that are either already edited or that need to be edited for all of you guys to tune into. So that's all we ask about supporting The Bald Truth. We're not asking for dollars. We're not asking for starting a Patreon page where you guys have to subscribe and send us money. Maybe one day, but not now. The content is free. All you have to do is support the content, support our message by viewing it, by subscribing to everything. Subscribe to Joe's YouTube page, and when you subscribe, you have to ring that little bell or hit that little bell so that you are notified when we are live. Subscribe to everything that we're doing, and that helps us a lot, believe me. And it also helps us to not have to worry about advertisers, and that's a complicated mathematical equation that I'm not going to describe as to why we don't need the advertisers. But just subscribe, let people know that the eyeballs are out there, and we will be support. Yeah, and we will be able to continue what we're doing. That's the only support that we need. Let's see, the American Hair Loss Association, that's AmericanHairLoss.org. The message form, baldtruthtalk.com. Remember, guys, if you want to file a complaint about a physician on Bald Truth Talk, that complaint has to be verified. And you will notice that if you have filed some sort of a grievance on another website that has a thread with 50 guys bashing either your hair transplant or the doctor who performed the hair transplant or whatever it is, that link is not allowed. You have to basically put an individual complaint on Bald Truth Talk with the story, and then that story is then verified. That's the safest way for both consumers and yourself, actually, in my view, to file a legitimate grievance. You know what I'm saying, Joe?
I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree with that 100%.
All right, good. So until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.
Who put this thing together? Me! That's who! Who do I trust? Me!
I always hear a lot of guys calling in, and they're always like, down and out about their haircuts.
Sure.
I lost my hair when I was 16 to 17 years old.
That's heavy.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's all good, man. And the funny thing is that I've learned to overcome it. And I've had a much, I'm much more empowered to be myself now.
Well, I admire that.
Oh, no, it's cool. Dude, let me tell you, it took a long time.
I wanna scream.